today we're talking about what is going to be coming in upcoming updates for Dawn of Fire. We've got a lot to go through, so make sure to watch the entire video today. First of all, let's take a listen to Monster Handler Matt to see what they have to say about what's coming.
With respect to long-term plans for Dawn of Fire, obviously it's been a very busy year for all of us monster handlers, but we do have plans in the future to answer some of the unanswered questions about Dawn of Fire and potentially add in some of the features that have been planned for a really long time.
So indeed, we are going to be seeing planned features inside of Dawn of Fire, but what is going to come to Dawn of Fire that was originally planned? Well, to go over this, I think we actually need to look at what was intended to be inside of Dawn of Fire. So first of all, inside of Dawn of Fire, we have the missing crystals that aren't in-game right now. We have Nebulox, Space Islands Crystal, Aurorium, Cloud Islands Crystal, and Quaritz, the Cave Island Crystal. All of these are like the crystals that are found amongst the continent, would have been able to be picked up amongst the outer islands. They were initially scrapped. We don't know what the initial purpose was behind these crystals, so it's going to be really cool to perhaps get these in-game so that we can see what purpose that they served, as it does look like we may be seeing them in-game, going by what was said. And also, you may think that may be the only crystals we have. However, we also have Crystallium. We don't know how Crystallium would have been obtained. However, judging by how every single crystal was for all the outer islands, and we just don't have one for Party Island, I'm willing to bet that this one would have been for Party Island. Party Island wasn't developed when Dawn of Fire released, so it could be the case that this crystal was just a placeholder for Party Island when it would eventually release. So I would indeed expect for it to be the case that it was for Party Island. But we also have one more crystal to go over, as we have Pyrosite, which belong to the Fire Islands of the continent. But before we talk about the Firelands, here's a quick message from me. Guys, this game is so addicting. You've got to go and check out Ace Defender. Ace Defender is a high-quality strategy RPG masterpiece combining authentic turn-based RPG battles with tower defense elements. Included is a traditional single-player RPG storyline with over 40 chapters with nearly 2,000 levels. In the story, Elipida, the Silver Dragon Princess, escaped with the Creation Crystal to the human lands from a rebellion in the Dragon Clan that threatens the balance of good and evil in the world. In the human lands, she awoke the Creation Crystal and summoned heroes to fight evil with your help. There are 5 hero factions in-game: Divine, Demon, Shadow, Nature, Light, with deep hero background stories. Every 2 weeks, 2 new heroes are added, starting with 48 heroes. You can level up, equip gear, and even combine heroes to create a powerful lineup. There are 1, 2, or 4 times gameplay modes to speed up or slow down action: Expedition, the solo mode, and PvE, where you can explore dungeons, regions, engage in trials, and level up your heroes and collect rare items. And it gets even better too, as in PvP you can fight against other players on your server, the arena, or across King's Arena with several lineups. New users downloading the game from the link below will get 10 Royal Recruit tickets after completing levels 2 to 8. You can use the tickets by going to the Sky City Tavern and then selecting Recruit times 10. Go download Ace Defender today, link in the description. See you in game, guys! Indeed, the Firelands was a scrap feature inside of Dawn of Fire. Initially, for the continent, you were going to see Firelands arise from the ocean, not just the water and Earthlands, but the Firelands too. I do think this was replaced by the Living Core, which we know is now where the fire monsters went to escape from the continent's cataclysm. I think when we're looking back to the Firelands though, I think it's so important to think about the Living Core right now. We know how important it is in terms of the lore, like we've just been over, and I feel like the Firelands wouldn't make too much sense with the lore, what we know as of right now. And just for that very reason, and there being no placement amongst the continent for it, it just seems as though it was something that was very beta, and as though it was planned initially, but then it turned into the Living Core. It feels like one of those features that was planned very early on that we'll never ever see. If we're looking at everything that we have these crystals, we have images for it, yet if we're looking at the Firelands, there's absolutely nothing for it besides this crystal. So it seems like it was something that is scrapped and probably likely will never return, but it's still really interesting to talk about. As seen as though we're on about all these unplanned features here, I feel like it's still an important topic to go over, as even though it might not come, it's still something very worthwhile that would add quite a lot to the game. Regardless of whether it does come though, I do think that if we are to get unplanned things, it would make sense for us to see this crystal in some form, maybe, and I feel like the Living Core may be the best place for that. However, I am a bit hesitant to say that, as I feel like it would be very weird to collect crystals from the Living Core. It's just such a weird structure on the continent, and and I feel like it would make you think, what on earth is going on here? How are these crystals forming amongst the volcano? In one way or another though, I think if we are to see these crystals make a return, I think we will see pyrosite in one way or another. Regardless of whether these crystals see the light of day again, I think we definitely will see them in one way or another, as we have the crystalline castles to think about that have the crystals from Dawn of Fire on them. These crystals amongst the outer islands share a connection to the magical islands, and we also have the Firelands crystal too, so those crystals could actually be used for the crystalline castles in the original game. So if we are not to get them in Dawn of Fire, I definitely think we will see them eventually in one way or another. Nebulox, Aurorium, Quaritz, Crystallium, and Pyrosite, we know absolutely nothing about what purpose they would have served in the game, and I think it's a very interesting discussion to think about what they would serve as a purpose behind the game if they were to be added. I think if they were to be added, they would absolutely need to be involved in something new. There's nothing in game right now that warrants these crystals, and they've got to have a specific purpose, otherwise what's the use in collecting them? I think for that very reason, we would have to see a new feature come along for these crystals. Maybe it could be something that we're going to talk about later, maybe it could be used amongst those, or indeed it could be just something completely brand new. I think to see these crystals return though, it definitely does need a purpose. The Firelands are probably all lost through time now, I don't think we're going to see those, but if we are to get the crystals, we absolutely need a purpose behind them. The next unplanned feature which we have to talk about is the structures that are found amongst Mirror Water and Mirror Earth Island. All the structures amongst the other Mirror Islands represent the structures that were in Dawn of Fire. So for Mirror Water and Mirror Earth, with the Waterlands and Earthlands in Dawn of Fire not actually having any structures, these structures are indeed the planned structures that were initially going to be in Dawn of Fire. The Mirror Water Island one was a wishing well. We don't know what its purpose was, it's never been revealed, and it is only cited on the Amazon Dawn of Fire store page, which is a really weird place to find it, but that's where it is found. I believe this purpose behind the wishing well would have been for you to be able to get an item maybe every single day. We know that wishing wells are supposed to grant wishes, so I absolutely do think that it would give you a specific item every day, or rather a wish every day, if you will. Whether this would have been new items or something like that is an interesting topic to speak about, because I don't see what unique purpose this exactly would serve the wishing well. Maybe it would just be a random generator and you'd get a cool item maybe every so often from it. That would be a cool thought, but I don't know what exactly would arise out of this structure. Like I've said, there's absolutely nothing on what this was intended to do, so your guess is as good as mine, but if I were to say it, I would indeed say that it would be for getting items. The next structure that we have is the Deconstructor, which name was revealed on a My Singing Monsters Twitch stream. Whilst we don't know anything about the wishing well, we know quite a bit about the Deconstructor. The Deconstructor on the Earthlands was supposed to be for you taking products and turning them back to their original items. So you could take a toy car, for instance, and get the logs and the tires back. This would be a really cool structure to have. I mean, when I have turned my items into things, and then all of a sudden a monster wants a specific thing, and then I get 2 times more XP for it, yeah, I want to turn it back. And it would be a really cool mechanic to have in game. Just like to every other structure that we have, I feel like the Deconstructor would add a ton to the mechanics behind Dawn of Fire. I remember originally when the structures that we have now were releasing, every single time one released, it changed the game so much. I do think the Skyship didn't have quite as much of a lasting impact as the other ones, but still it adds so much to the game, and thinking about what the Deconstructor could add just by what we know about it is so exciting. We also know, related to the Deconstructor, that there were intended to be essences, actually. I did a live stream back in the day about these essences, thinking it was something absolutely gobsmacking new, but it was just the essences apparently from the Deconstructor. I don't know what purposes these would have served either, but it's another item to add onto the list of crystals and minerals and everything in between for Dawn of Fire. There's so much potential behind Dawn of Fire. It's absolutely phenomenal. For the positioning of the Deconstructor and Wishing Well, if we take a look on the continent, there's a massive piece of volcanic land where the Deconstructor would have gone. I cannot be persuaded otherwise that that is not where the deconstructor was supposed to go. It seems so obviously placed, that massive mesh there. It feels like it's not even supposed to be there. So I really do expect for the deconstructor to go there. For the wishing well though, I would expect for it to go right next to the deconstructor, actually, right at the back there. There's not a lot of room for it to go anywhere else in the waterlands, and it feels like it fits really nicely in that little spot there next to the cold lands. Up next, as indeed there is even more unplanned things for Dawn of Fire, we have the satellite. The satellite is something that turned into the bulletin board. So even though it was a planned out thing, and it is actually something that turned into something just like how the Firelands likely did, I do think this one is particularly interesting to go over, more so than the Firelands, because in fact, lore-wise, if we're talking about what we know in-game and stuff, we actually have seen this structure on display in a news promotion. For Cyber Week this year, they put it in a promotion, and I was so shocked by this. It was so surprising to me that they did this. It was absolutely out of nowhere, just placing a new structure in a promotion and being like, oh, that's a part of the lore now. So seemingly, it looks like this may be something that serves some kind of purpose in the monster world, and if it exists, then I say bring it along. The satellite, just like the crystals and everything we've been over today, it could be absolutely amazing to have associated to some kind of new mechanic in game. If we are to see something else new in game, bring the satellite along. I think it would be so cool to have it alongside the teleporter, as the teleporter is the main means of structure-based activity as of right now. It's the main reason you get monsters across and things, but having this satellite, I feel like there's just so much that they could do with it, and for that reason it's just so exciting, and I really do hope that they explore the satellite someday. Oh my goodness, guys, wasn't that a lot to go through? There's so much content that was planned for Dawn of Fire that has just never made it in game, and oh my gosh, would it be exciting to see some of these things in game. I certainly don't think that some of the things we have discussed today are going to come in game, definitely not the Firelands, but I think everything else is up for auction here. I feel like we do have a chance for these features to return into the game in some form, but I think it's just amazing to think about the potential that Dawn of Fire has. It's got so much potential behind it, and seeing any of these features at all come in the future will be extremely exciting, going by what Matt said. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below and make sure to subscribe too. Big thanks to Ace Defender for sponsoring today's video. Please go and click the link down below and install Ace Defender today. Trust me, you'll love it. I'll see you later. Bye.